Right, folks, Morphy's Games of Chess returns with Game 10. All right, part of the American Chess Congress. All right, we got Lichtenstein versus Morphy. This is part of the third round, October 26, 1857. Now, Lichtenstein got a draw with Morphy in the Game 9. So the way they're running this tournament, no half points, folks, for a draw. They just disregard it like it never happened. So here we got Lichtenstein with the white pieces again, okay? So here he goes. He had success with D4, better than anyone else so far against Morphy, so he figures why not go with what's working, right? All right, maybe he'll get the win with this one. But Morphy, no, Queen's Gambit decline, get out of here. Here we go. I had enough of this, he says. I'm going to really play my favorite opening, the Dutch defense. Here it is. In the notes, it says Morphy's favorite defense against D4. Compared 3 of the games with Horowitz and game 62 with Montegrian. Okay? All right, so anyway, here we go. Lichtenstein, knight c3, Morphy, knight f6. Lichtenstein puts the bishop on Morphy, threatening to double those pawns over there. So Morphy, good move, e6, part of this Dutch defense scheme. Okay, Lichtenstein hits, right? Because now if he takes, there's no doubling of the pawns. You just take back, right, with your queen. Okay, just stating the obvious for those beginners out there. Okay, Lichtenstein hits with e4, right? Hits with e4. Morphy gobbles it up. All right, he takes it. Okay, now it says, now we have by transposition a situation in the Dutch defense of recent days. Now, folks, this is again, like I said, 1857. I guess this was going on in the day, you know. This was a common theme. All right, but here you go. It says white should continue with bishop takes knight, queen takes, okay, and then knight takes pawn. So you get a tempo on that queen. As in Marshall Jaffe, match game 1909, okay? All right, so that's what they're referring to. That's they feel that's the best for white at the time. All right, so anyway, what does Lichtenstein do, though? Lichtenstein allows Morphy time to interpose his bishop to e7 by taking here. He takes the pawn first. All right, like we said, Morphy, bishop e7, okay? So now, Lichtenstein chops off the knight. Okay, Morphy takes back. Now, if you take back with the pawn, be careful, folks. Look, you got this annoying check with the queen, okay? You don't want to do something like this. All right. Could be annoying, you know. So, of course, you take with the bishop here. Now, Lichtenstein goes in with the check anyway, right? You got that G-pawn. It's not over here, right? All right, we use it. G6 hitting that queen, but look at this. He throws an in-between move. He grabs the bishop while he can. Okay, Morphy takes back, only move, right? All right, now Lichtenstein gets that queen out of danger. He puts it on e5, right? And Morphy chops it right off. Here's what the notes say, though. It says, rook to f8, okay, or castles, looks natural, right? You got this nice lot of power going down the f-file. Queen and rook, right? Okay, but anyway, that looks natural. But it says here that Morphy plays to give white an exposed pawn on the 5th rank by taking, right? Lichtenstein's got to take back. And now that e5 pawn becomes a target, folks. See, it's on the 5th rank. It's in enemy territory, right? That rook, that king pawn is overextended on e5. So let's see how Morphy continues, right? Okay, it's Morphy's move. Now, you got to get your pieces out, right? Look at this. Makes sense. B6, Lichtenstein castles. B6 is to develop your bishop to B7. See that? Look at this diagonal for Morphy now. Look at it. Because you can't, folks, it's a little harder on this one, right? Got your 2 pawns there. Look at this natural move. Look at this diagonal now. Very good for the bishop. Okay, so you don't want to just bring out your pieces quickly in the Morphy style, but you want to develop them to key squares, good squares. You want your pieces to develop strong, right? All right, so here we go. So now we got the knight doesn't come here, and I don't think so much for doubling the pawns. You don't really worry about that so much. I mean, it's an open F-file, right? But I think this knight, Liechtenstein brings it to h3, not fearing the pawn so much, but more to support f4, pawn push, right? Because look, here comes, okay, Morphy develops the rook first to the open file, okay? And now, Liechtenstein can't bring the bishop out yet. If he brings it out now, boom, he gets hit. He gets hit hard with this one, the double attack, right? If the knight moves, he loses the exchange. If the rook moves, he just loses a piece outright, okay? So bishop fork. Got to remember those. Plus, he wins the pawn, too, on g2, right? All right, so obvious. He can't bring the bishop out. So Liechtenstein brings the rook to g1 first. Now he could develop the bishop next if he wants. Plus, he wants to get it off this, you know, he wants to get it off this. He can't play this yet. He just loses the rook. Again, the strong bishop on b7, right? Okay. So he moves it off that diagonal and protecting g2. Now the bishop could develop if it wants. All right, but anyway, here comes the knight. Knight c6. Morphy developing the last minor piece, right? Good square. Attacking e5, right? Attacking that weak pawn. What do you think he does, folks? f4, like I said. Knight on h3 supports f4, right? Supports the f4. Pawn push, okay. Morphy brings his king to e7, linking up those rooks on the back rank. Okay, now here, look at this. Here's Liechtenstein, g3. Okay, protecting the f4 pawn, right? So the knight could eventually get out of there. He's on the edge. Doesn't want to babysit f4 forever, right? He's got to get into this game. Okay. Now Morphy plays d6, hitting that center pawn there, that extended e5 pawn. All right, but here we go. Look at this. Now Liechtenstein puts the bishop on g2, right? Challenging Morphy's bishop on b7. That's the idea, right? Now, says here in the notes, bad play. Bad play. Why? Because the question they even pose right here, the old masters in the notes. Why put up with an isolated pawn on e5? Right? After this, here you go. Morphy just takes on e5. All right. Liechtenstein's forced to take back. And now you got the pawn up there. So it's isolated, right? Okay, I mean, now we can't take, obviously, because of this one, right? We see that. Okay, not yet. We can't take yet. Okay. So, what they were basically saying here is before this, Liechtenstein should have just taken. He should have just taken there, you know. All right. Now the f4 pawn's not so weak, protected by g3, right? No weaknesses. No weaknesses for Liechtenstein. This is better. Better position to play. All right, so now he jumps the gun. Maybe you gotta as the train rolls on by, you know. Maybe Liechtenstein jumped the gun. Maybe back then they had trains back then. Maybe the train rolled by and distracted Liechtenstein, and he jumped the gun. He played bishop g2 a little early, right? Who knows? All right, they had those steam engines back then, right? All right, so anyway, so sure enough, like we said, they trade over here now. All right, he can't take yet. Look at this. Morphy brings the rook up, right? Is that what he does? Let me make sure. Yeah, rook up to f5, attacking that pawn, right? Okay, so now he brings the king rook over here, right? He brings the king rook to protect e5. Okay. So now look at Morphy. Taking the open d file, right? Challenging Liechtenstein's rook on d1. All right, and here we have Liechtenstein gets, you know, a little aggressive. He hits that f5 rook. All right, but big deal. He got a check move. In between move, rook takes rook check, okay? Now Liechtenstein wisely takes with the king, okay? Because what happens, folks? What happens if this guy takes, huh? Look at this. You just blew it. You just lost that e5 pawn. Most likely the game. See that? All right, so Liechtenstein knows what's going on. Captured with his king. Okay. So Morphy retreats back to f8. Okay. Here's a surprise, you know, a surprise here. Liechtenstein chops off the knight. And, you know, Morphy takes back. Now he's got that strong bishop, okay? So bishop versus knight. I mean, if they trade the rooks, Bishop versus knight. We got pawns on both wings, both sides of the board. The knight's slow and clumsy. The bishop is quick. You know, he's very fast out there. He can cover both sides of the board. All right. Let's see where it goes. All right. So anyway, if you haven't noticed, to throw this silly one in, Morphy's threatening a simple bishop check, and then win, and the king moves, and then you win this guy. See, you win a pawn that way. All right. So anyway, what does Morphy do? He brings the king up, gets out of the check, you know. So here we go. From here, king up, right? All right. King to d2, and we got Morphy with h6. All right. The knight, you notice on the rim again, right? The theme. He can't come here. He takes g5 away, right? He can't come here because of the rook. He can't come here because of the rook. He can only go to g1. Only square for the knight right now. Okay? The knight on the rim is dim. You ever hear that, kids? The knight on the rim is dim. All right, so now we got Morphy. Let's see. Morphy plays h6 to keep that knight back off of g5, and here comes Lichtenstein bringing the rook to e3. Okay, now, all right. Morphy pushes this one up even further. Okay. Again, taking away the f squared, and the rook could move maybe, you know, but he takes away the f4 square, and he's even writing the notes right here. I'm not making it up. It says here, shutting up the knight for a time. All right, look at this. We got pawn to b3, and look at this one, folks. Watch this. Rook to f1. All right, what's the idea of this? Look at this threat, huh? What's he going to do now with this one? Rook to h1, that h2 pawn. You could say goodbye, bye-bye, goodbye-bye. Look, if he tries to block it this way, you throw this guy in there, right? Again, you win g4, right? And, hey, if he tries to defend with this one, right? I mean, I think this is what I played with Schroeder. Look, if he tries to defend this way, you go in with this one, right? And even if the computer tried this, protecting g4, I mean, heck, I could take the exchange, right? I could win the exchange, or I could take this guy, right? I think white starts to fall apart, right? So with this, that's no good. I mean, so anyway, what does Lichtenstein do, right? I come down. There's no a3. I'm just showing you the threat. Okay. So Lichtenstein wisely, right? Wisely plays rook to e1. Get out of here. Get out of my position, you. Okay? Challenges Morphy's rook on f1. All right. Well, anyway, Morphy trades him off. This, I guess, was the whole goal. Okay? He wants that bishop versus knight endgame. Here we go. He's got it. And after the king takes back on e1, Morphy moves the bishop into position. Look at this. Attacking c2, right? All right. So now, we got to know. Lichtenstein plays king to d2, protecting the c2 pawn. But look at this now. Watch this note. It says, if he had moved this, if he played c4, he would have lost a pawn. Okay? But they're saying bishop to c3, followed when convenient. Let's say I go down. Let's just show it. Pawn to a3. Let's say you protect this. You go after this b3 pawn. All right. And then they're finally saying pawn to b4 should have drawn. See, you get basically, it says when convenient, you play a3 and then b4. And you get all your pawns on the dark squares, right? So they're safe from the enemy bishop on the light squares, Morphy's bishop, right? That's the idea. That was the little notes they put to this move, right? But now it did start off saying pawn to c4 would lose a pawn, right? But I don't know about that. Look, you go for the pawn, right? Go for the pawn. The idea is if you move the pawn now to a3, now the bishop attacks these two on b3. Oh, there's a car accident over here. All right, anyway, they must have got distracted by this great move, right? So anyway, if B4, you lose. Look at that. You lose. That's why the horns are blowing. They're like, look out. Bishop takes C4. You win a pawn, right? You win the pawn. All right. So anyway, we go back, right? Now, listen, though, folks. I still say this doesn't lose, right? Because the bishop comes in. What about king to D2, right? He takes the A pawn, and then you come in here to C2, right? All right, so what are you going to do? I mean, you bring the king up. All right, you bring the king over. You're going to lose the bishop. All right, get another pawn. Here you go. Right, king up. I don't know, folks. I don't know. I mean, I think white, you got the extra piece, right? You got the knight. White, black's got the knight, so I don't know. I don't know if it's so clear. But I'll tell you what's interesting. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's what comes to my mind when I see this. I see the tactics. You trap the bishop. Right. The bishop wins 2 pawns, right? All right. This is pretty similar to what we see in the game. So I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe the masters are right here. Maybe, maybe it's not so smart. I don't even know. You check into it. Watch what Morphy does. This is what I just showed with the bishop winning 2 pawns, right? You getting trapped. Maybe that's not so bad for black. Okay, because you're going to see something similar with the game here. Watch this. This is something else. All right. Lichtenstein brought he didn't play this. He didn't play this. He brought the king to D2, right? Okay, now Morphy plays the pawn up, I believe, right? Oh, no. He brings his king over, right? He brings his king over. Now, Lichtenstein puts his pawn up to C4. Okay, now Morphy comes up, C6. Okay, the knight's coming in the game and attacking Morphy's bishop on E4, and he goes in for it, folks. He dives right in. Look at this. Bishop to B1, attacking A3. All right, look at Lichtenstein. That leaves the pawn on A3, swings the knight over to D1, right? All right, here it is, folks. He takes it. All right, like I said, look at this. He's going in for it, similar to what we saw. All right, so now watch this. Here's the point. Here's the note. The coming bishop sacrifice deprives white of all hopes to save of a draw. The coming bishop sacrifice deprives white of all hopes to save the draw. J. Lowenthal records that the 2 combatants afterwards played several back games from this point, some of which were won by black and some were drawn. Okay? So let's put it to you this way. Morphy's got the winning chances, okay? White's got no hope of winning. Best white could do is draw. So, not a bad idea. Okay, watch how this turns out now. Now, B3's hanging, so Lichtenstein moves his moves his king to C2, right? Now, if he moves here, he could get out. The bishop could escape, right? So you don't want to do that. So you got to move it to C2, covering B1 and protecting the B3 pawn. All right, so now look at this. Morphy up with the king. The king's an attacking piece in the end game. All right, here it comes. All right, now Lichtenstein swings the knight to C3. Going to capture the bishop with the knight, right? So Morphy takes what he can. He takes that last pawn. Pawn takes B3 check. Lichtenstein chops him off with the king, okay? And here we got Morphy playing C6, right? Keeping the knight out, maybe. I don't know. And look at this one. Morphy's keeping the knight back, right, from attacking his A pawn over there, maybe. And also, he could slip right up. He could slip right up next and threaten to take this guy, right? So, Lichtenstein plays the move to keep Morphy back. Knight to E2, controlling D4. This pawn controls D5. This pawn controls D6. You see that? So, Morphy's king can't easily get into the position, you know what I mean? So, here it is. Now, interestingly enough, I can't even get it out. All right. It says black eventually won, though there is no further score of the game. The advance of the queenside pawns must decide the issue, enabling black to turn the hostile center. right? That's what they put in the notes, and there you go. And it says 5 hours. It took them 5 hours to play this game, huh? Liechtenstein was fighting on tough. He probably didn't want to give up. Who knows how much left of the score there was, right? But Morphy pulled it out. Now, since we can't see and we have no idea, I say, look, let's do something a little special here. I'm going to turn on the engine. I'm going to turn on the Chess Genius, right? Pretty strong program, right? Let's put on the settings. Let's see, right? Let's play, we'll put it, right? You versus the Genius, right? Okay. So you versus the Genius. Let's see the engine, right? Now, I think this was the move, right? This was the move. B5. Let's see. Oh, we got to display. Let me see display settings, right? Where's the engine? Where's the engine? Let's see. We got to find it. Forgive me for a second as I put this on, right? We get this going, right? You versus Genius, right? Or even analyze game. Let's do that. That'll show the engine. There you go. I remember doing this on, with the Shredder, and they said B5 was the move. So we played B5 for Morphy. Let's pretend Morphy plays this, right? All right, look at the Chess Genius. Look at what it's coming up with. They're saying C takes B, right? C takes, if you look up at the top of the screen up here, here's the engine, right? It's a draw. See, 0.00. They're saying C takes B5, right? Holds the draw so far. All right, let's do it. All right, now I know we're not letting the engine run. The longer you let these things run, the deeper they look, the better moves they find. All right, fine. Let's just have some fun with this, right? Okay. Pawn takes pawn. Now we got connected past pawns on the B and A file. Very good for black. Still saying that it's drawn, right? The engine over there. All right, a slight, okay, whatever. 0.00. 0.04 doesn't make any difference, folks. These fractions don't mean anything, okay? Not until it starts swinging over a pawn, one way or the other. You know what I mean? All right, so, like here, look. All right, now it's 0.0. Still a draw. All right, so now, A6, right? They're saying A6, huh? Who knows? A6. We're going to swing our king over and gobble up that E pawn, right? I guess that's the idea next. Right? All right, let's go with A6. Let's see what happens. All right. King to C3, huh? Look at this. King to C3. All right, we'll go king to D5. We know we want to get that E5 pawn. That's our plan, right? Okay, king to B4. All right, he's going for it. He's going for those queenside pawns. All right, we get this guy. All right, here he is. Going king A5. Is this going to work for him? I don't think so. I don't think so. Here we go. King up. We're going to go after this knight. All right. He takes over here, right? Oh, look at this. We're running, folks. He can't catch that guy. He's going to be up to the knight. All right. The knight stops him over there, right? The knight stops. Here comes the king coming in. It looks pretty good for black. We got two passed pawns, right? All right. The king's coming up. The B pawn looks dead, right? All right, here we go. We're going to take out these white pawns. All right, as he gets the B pawn, we get this H pawn. All right, king to C5, going after the E6 pawn, right? Or king C3. What is it going to do here? What's it want to do? Look, it's down a pawn now. It's like it's down a pawn, right? Okay. Once I get that G4 pawn, it's 3 pawns versus the knight. A knight is worth 3 pawns, right? If you kids don't know. 3 pawns is equivalent to a knight, but it's all position, folks. We've got to always evaluate the position. With just a knight, white cannot checkmate black with just a knight and a king. But black with 3 pawns got a chance of queen in one of them, right? So the winning chances are with black. You get it? All right. So anyway, they're saying king C3, right? All right. We chop off this guy, right? Makes sense. All right, king D2. Here comes the king. I don't know. Maybe he could hold this. I don't know what's going to happen. All right, king up, right? King up. All right, it's starting to go up higher. -1 and a 3rd pawn, right? All right, who knows? He can maybe still hang in there. Look, knight to D3. Okay, H5, the furthest pawn. He's making a run for it, maybe. All right. Knight c5, going after our e6 pawn. All right. Now, we don't want him to get that one. All right, fine. We push him up. All right, king down. King's got to get in front of those pawns, right? All right, here comes the h pawn. All right, king over, king over. Uh-oh, minus 1.81. It's getting tense, folks. It's getting tense. It's going up. It's going up. All right, they're saying h3, huh? h3. Oh, look at this, h3, and we're up almost 3 pawns here, right? This looks like it may turn out to be a win. All right, so the king over, right? All right, he's getting in the corner in time. Here comes the g pawn to help out his brother pawn on the h file, right? All right, knight e6. All right, here he comes. Here comes e4 pawn push. Look at this. Oh, they're raining. The pawns are raining down on white. All right, he's got the check move. Big deal. What's going on here? All right, now king f4, going after the knight, huh? He's attacking. The king's an attacking piece in the end game. All right, here he comes. Check. Okay, now we come up to g3. All right, no checks for the knight. All right, knight to d4, getting ready to check on e2 maybe. All right, we got to check with this one. All right, king nowhere to go but over to stop that pawn from queening. All right, now we got the e pawn coming up. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't even know, folks. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Let's make sure that was right. Well, I mean, heck. Oh boy, we're up 10 pawns, folks. Forget it. We got this one in the bag. All right, the knight tries checking. Okay. All right, king up, huh? Let the h pawn dangle in the wind. Look at this. All right, he figures. All right, look at this. He goes up. He's going to try to promote the e pawn instead, right? Look at this. Holy cow! Now, let's see the logic, folks. Let's see the logic. Okay. Now this move, it's only move. It's saying this. Come on, folks. We know what happens. Look at that. If you take it, stalemate. Look at that. If you take, you got to watch those, folks. Stalemate, right? King can't go anywhere. The king can't go anywhere. Stalemate. See on the bottom of the board? All right. Stalemate. The king can't move. All right. We can't take the knight, right? But let's see something here. Let's see something. That's its move, right? The logic being, if he takes here, if he takes there, we go e2. And now what? He can't get him, folks. He can't stop that pawn. The pawn queen's next. And you can't maneuver the knight any tricky way, so you get a check. Say I go to queen next and you get a check on d3, winning the queen. There's none of that, you know? So basically they got this and you get your queen, right? Or what happens? Oh, spiteful check, huh? Look at this check. All right, where's he go now? He's got no moves, right, except to bring the knight out. Look at that. Good night. You take there, he goes down. Good night, mate. All right, so anyway. Okay. So we're just looking at the obvious, right? Why can't the king take there? Okay. So he moves his knight to g3. All right, we go in with this guy. All right, he sacks it. We take, right? King takes. We got to play it right, folks. We got to play it right. Let's see. They're saying, now let's just make sure. They're saying here, right? What if you went here? What would happen? I guess he loses still anyway, because his only move is here, and we come to g3 next, right? He goes here, only square. We go there, right? If he goes back, makes no difference. The timing of it is right. He moves out, right? You don't want to give with check. That's a good thing to remember. In these scenarios, if this is a check move, it turns into a draw, okay? But it's not a check move now, so white goes. He's forced to go there. King up to support the pawn the next move, and it queens, and the game is over. Right? King moves wherever. You get your queen. There it is. It's game over. Right? All right. There you go. Good game. You see what could have happened, folks? Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Who knows? Morphy pulled it off somehow. And the idea, let's zoom all the way back and conclude that basically, right, once that bishop grabs those 2 pawns, right? Let's see. Once he goes in for it, right? The knight comes in. Morphy grabs the pawn. King over. King up. Knight getting ready to chop off the bishop. Okay, take another pawn. There you go. You got 2 pawns for it. Liechtenstein. Here's Morphy keeping the knight back. All right, and he resorts to blocking the king out of d4 with the knight. And there you have it. And basically, you have black with the winning chances. Amazing, right? Who would have thought? White's got the piece, and he's got 4 pawns, right? 2 of them are very weak. Okay, the E pawn and the C pawn are isolated. And you got 3 passed pawns on the queen side over here once you get the white C pawn. Or you just trade, okay, like we did. We traded them off, right? We traded them off, and now we have connected passed pawns on the queen side. Folks, if these 2 pawns weren't on the B and A file, if black didn't have these 2 passed pawns, forget it. Then the knight can hold easy. If you take away those 2 pawns, the king moves over and they defend their pawns easy, and the knight eventually chops off these. You know, you could move it into position to chop off those pawns. Okay, so it's the 2 passed pawns that keep the white king babysitting them over here while he gives you time for your king to chop off the white pawns. You see how it worked? Well, anyway, very instructive. Great game by Morphy. Even though we couldn't see how he followed through, we saw it with the computer, right? The computer helped us. So, all right, I hope you enjoyed that one. I did. And we're going to move on. Liechtenstein defeated, right? That's the 3rd opponent of Morphy to go down, okay? Liechtenstein hung in there in Game 9 with a draw, but no different. Morphy has not lost yet, has not lost a game in this American Chess Congress, huh? The youngster from New Orleans, the 21-year-old, huh? Young man. Let's see how he handles. This is going to be round 4, folks. We're coming to the money game. Here we go. The money round, I should say. The money round. The final round, round 4. Okay? All right. We'll see who he plays, and we'll see how the first game of the money round, round 4, continues. All right. With Morphy's Games of Chess, I hope you join us next time.